Good day, everybody. My name is Jim McBride, and I'm Charleston City Councilman for District 3, which is Johns Island, a part of James Island. And this is episode 10. This is a corollary to episode 9. And episode 9 is where I first introduced a new traffic data analysis system that we have in place that we devised, myself and Andrew. You'll see in a minute. And it's designed to get actual tangible traffic data that we didn't previously have, that we can then use to help prioritize resources where they need to go. So this one is more detailed than the previous one. The previous one is just kind of an overview of how the system works. This one shows more how it works, and we're using the Northern Pitchfork. Before the Northern Pitchfork was open, which is on the corner of Maybank and River on Johns Island. Just before it was open, we were collecting data, and then after it was open, we collected data, and we can show the change in the traffic patterns. So this one has a little bit more information to kind of give you an example of how it works, and it's this video is an example of how different intersections will work, being able to compare traffic, not just in District 3, but all over Charleston, if the city ends up using this system. So enjoy, hope it's helpful, and I'll see you around. And I'm here with Andrew Turek, and we're going to talk about, and he's going to show us how we can use Google traffic data to show real-time traffic information, figured out how to do it automatically. So today we're going to talk about various routes and various examples to show you. This is just an overview right now, this map right here. And the first one we're going to use as an example is the Northern Pitchfork, which just opened in March of 2024. We're going to show you how the traffic was before the Northern Pitchfork opened and then after it opened. So Andrew, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. So in Northern Pitchfork, this is kind of a zoomed in view. And just going over the methodology again, sampling Google Maps for travel times every 10 minutes for the following routes. Hopefully y'all are familiar with this intersection if you live on Johns Island. So point B is the Stono River Bridge. Point A is the tomato factory there at River and Brownswood. And then point D is the Johns Island Library. It's pretty close to the intersection of Main. And then point C is Johns Island Executive Airport. So with these points in mind, I tracked 6 routes. I essentially tracked every route going eastbound through the intersection towards the bridge, and then every route coming in from the bridge, and then diverging, either north, south, or going straight. So got 6 routes here. They typically take 8 minutes with no traffic. And so I'll just show a quick example of what it looks like here. So here are the dashboards that get the data. Like I said, it's just capturing date, departure time, and travel time. And then that travel time is what changes over time depending on the time of day and traffic conditions. So that all gets aggregated up into a dashboard here. And then this is kind of my analysis on that data. So just, looking at the Pitchfork specifically, between March 13th and March 24th, prior to the Northern Pitchfork opening, those periods were analyzed. Then there was a 2-week period where the Pitchfork was open, but school was out, and that has a major impact on traffic, as we'll see. And then after school went back in session between April 8th and April 15th, the Northern Pitchfork was open and everybody's back to school. So there's 3 periods. I'm going to kind of zoom ahead and show you kind of a couple different outputs. So for example, we're looking at Maybank eastbound. I have this map here showing the arrow with the direction of travel. And here is the kind of hourly travel times that came through. So you'll notice on average, it took about 20 minutes to get from the Johns Island Library to the Stono River Bridge at 7 a.m. about 15 minutes at 8 a.m. and then back down to about 8 minutes at 9 a.m. And then
Yeah,
it creeps up in the afternoon.
just to help the audience here, on the bottom, on the x-axis, is the hour of day. So 0 is, I think, midnight.
Mhm.
Is that correct? And then 1 is 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m.
Correct.
And then the
Yep.
minutes on the y-axis. So as you said, the average at midnight and 1 a.m., 2 a.m., the average time that it takes to go that route from D to B, from the Johns Island Library to the Stone River Bridge, is 8 minutes on average when there's no traffic.
Yep. So you're looking at, 2.5x travel time at the peak period, going eastbound post Pitchfork. So the next slide I'm going to show is kind of comparing the three periods. So I'll walk everybody through this real quick. In the bottom left here is the pre-Pitchfork travel times, again, for that about 10-day period. And I want to reiterate, these are weekday travel times. So I'm filtering out weekends, right? I'm looking at weekdays, which typically have the worst traffic. So pre-Pitchfork, you'll see, similar graph as to what I just showed you. The spring break period in the top right increase in travel times. Obviously, you still have some peaks, but now your peak is 12 minutes instead of 20 minutes. And then post Pitchfork, you can see, I mean, if you make a comparison between the two graphs on the bottom here, it looks like the evening travel time decreased slightly post Pitchfork over those time periods. And this was back in, the springtime. Things have changed since then. But as far as a direct impact of the Pitchfork, travel times in the evening decreased slightly over this period.
Yeah, so
And
that,
yeah, go
sorry,
ahead.
that clearly shows that a lot of kids are and parents are taking their kids to schools on James Island. Um, Shows that to me, obviously. So when spring break happens, that intersection is really mostly to get off and on Johns Island to James Island and back and forth. So
Mhm.
it's clear, and I've talked to a lot of parents. I know a lot of kids are going to school on James Island, so that's definitely um, something that helps us understand um, that aspect. And also just keeping in mind that there'll be an elementary school opening in about a year from now on River Road. That'll change this whole dynamic. So it's good we're having a new school built on Johns Island because it hopefully will mitigate some of this traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. There's other results here too. I'm just going to zoom ahead to the westbound data, pre-Pitchfork, spring break, and post-Pitchfork. Main takeaway here is uh, the westbound traffic coming from James Island into Johns Island it does not have nearly as high of a peak, nor does the Pitchfork have a much of a dramatic change in that traffic. So then we looked at specifically routes affected by the Pitchfork. So here on this map, you'll see if you're turning left onto Maybank, on North River Road, that route could benefit from the Pitchfork if folks want to divert and take the Pitchfork route. So that's what this analysis is. And you'll see, again, post Pitchfork in the bottom right, travel times did decrease slightly. Um, and obviously they were even lower for spring break. And then the other Pitchfork route would be just that same direction in reverse. So now folks that want to turn right onto River Road from Maybank coming back on the island, um, their travel times really weren't as severe uh, before the Pitchfork, but they did get a little better after the Pitchfork. Um, and I've heard anecdotal evidence from folks saying it is a little better, especially when you consider that the Pitchfork coincided with the restriping of Maybank to basically create a left turn lane in what was a through lane. And so the kind of right lane of Maybank has backed up a little more since then. But with the Pitchfork, you can still get um, north on River Road pretty easily. So that's all I had to say about the Pitchfork, Jim. If there's anything else you
Yeah,
wanted to add.
I was unmuted there. Sorry about that. So it's interesting that it does seem to help going eastbound. You can go back to that really quick.
Yeah.
Um, because people still have to stop at a stoplight at the Fenwick Hall LE light on Maybank and still have to turn left. So it's interesting that that does help as much as it does. Um, so it's good news because a lot of people think that it's not helping much. And in the future, sometime I'm going to show the constituents that the Pitchfork plan was designed for the northern and southern Pitchfork to work together, where the northern Pitchfork would normally help the most for coming onto Johns Island going west, alleviating the traffic because you wouldn't have to stop and turn left anywhere. It's all right turns. And then the southern Pitchfork, when that gets done, hopefully in the next few years, would be for going off the island because it would alleviate a lot of the traffic coming from South River Road and going off the island that way. It would alleviate some of that pressure at the intersection of River and Maybank. So I guess I'm happy against my point to see that it does help a little bit, even on the northern Pitchfork for going eastbound, because it's not really designed for that. So that's good news.